Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Splash. As you can see, I've had my mask on, so we always want to remind you during this pandemic to wear your mask. Remember to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face and rubbing your eyes. And try to stay 6 to 12 feet apart. Remember to social distance. And let's keep everybody safe, and let's get through this pandemic so that we can come back together and have a class person to person. But until then, let's use safety and thinking about the things of others before we think about ourselves. Let's consider others, especially older people like myself, that bodies might not be able to withstand the COVID-19. So that being said, it's time for another art class. Happy Thursday. I hope that you've had a good week, either studying at home or in school. And I hope you're ready to do some drawing and painting. We're going to paint again with watercolors today. And we're going to paint another butterfly, but this time we're going to make it a little bit more realistic today. So let's go to our drafting table. So you're going to need your watercolor paints, and you're going to need a pencil. You can use 2B or 4B, it doesn't matter at this point. We're going to sketch just by way of review. Remember, we did butterflies. This is the last one we did on Tuesday. And I want you to notice the triangular shape that's been rounded. So the wings are triangular and rounded. Instead of a straight line of a triangle, we rounded it off. We're going to use this design, this type of wing today. And we also did these two butterflies. And remember, we said don't give the butterfly short wings. So we're going to use these shapes. This time, we will do 1 or 2 butterflies depending on our time. I'm going to try to go slow so that you don't get left behind, but we're going to round off the wings. So the basic shape of our butterfly will be this shape here. This basic shape of the wings, rather. But we're going to draw a butterfly that is perched on a flower. So get your watercolor pad out. With watercolors, we use heavyweight sheets. The sheet I'm using is actually 140 pounds, but you can use a 90-pound sheet. What we used last time was 90-pound paper, and that worked really well. You're going to have your sheet landscape way, the long way, like this. And let's get started. We're going to draw a monarch butterfly. Oh yeah, sharpen your pencil. Make sure your pencil's good and sharp. Do not press down on your paper with your pencil. I've been trying to think of the best way to start this, to position this butterfly. And maybe we'll draw the flower first. Let's draw the flower. The flower is going to be an oval that's turned to the side like this. And your flower can be a little bit, it could be in the center or a little bit off center. And it's going to be an oval shape. Draw a half circle, but it's more flat on the bottom side of it. You see the angle here of this oval? That's very important. So the bottom of the oval is pretty flat. It's still rounded, but it's sort of flat. Sketch softly sketch. And the butterfly is going to be feeding off of this flower here. Let's go ahead and draw the stem that this flower is on. The stem is, we're going to draw it at an angle. Draw it very lightly because you're not going to really see it that much in the picture. And the stem is at this angle. Like the flowers are leaning to the left. Notice the stem sort of flares out right underneath the flower. And we're going to draw petals next. Now the petals are going to be sort of the shape of butterfly wings. We're going to start here to the left-hand side. And the petals, watch how I do it. It's going to flare out like that. And that's a circle on the end. It's like a very long triangle. That's one petal. The other petal is going to be right next to it. It's going to flow in right here, right there. See, there's a little space there. Then it's going to flare out, make it a little bit wide where it extends from the flower. And see how I'm allowing this to run off the page? That's fine. The petals won't be all the same length. Now to see what the petal ends look like, it's rounded, but it comes to a point. We're going to put another petal next to that one. It's going to flare out like this, and we're going to overlap the stem here. Okay, so ignore the stem. We're not trying to fit anything in. So ignore the stem. That's a good, we never try to fit anything into the picture. So it rounds off, but then it comes to a point, see? It rounds off and comes to a point. See that? We can't see the point on the first two petals. Sketch, I'm still sketching. Do not press down hard with the pencil. I'm going to place a petal under this petal, and it's going to bend. So one shape, it bends like this. It curves around, and this side it's kind of straight like that. Now we're going to draw a petal. All right, I'll wait till you draw that one. Our next petal is going to come toward us a little bit. So it's going to appear to be short, very short. So it's going to be round and short like this. This is called foreshortening. The hardest thing to do in art, and we're not going to focus on foreshortening today. It's really an advanced thing to focus on. Now we're going to do another long petal. Now I'm thinking about my petals are going to follow this circular pattern, this line here. See the points of the petals? It's going to come around like that. So I'm thinking about how long each petal would be. Now this one, this line is going to be sort of straight. I'm curving. We never do exactly straight lines. We let our lines waver a little bit, curve a little bit in nature. And the other side of the petal is going to round off like this. See? Sort of like this one. Now we're going to draw a petal behind this one. I'll wait till you draw that one. This petal is going to be behind that one, so you can't see the top part of the petal. So I'm just going to draw a line on this petal like that. Then I'm going to let this one sneak out behind it. And then the line's going to come straight back. So this petal overlaps that one. The next petal starts here. It's going to come straight out. It's going to bend down a little bit because remember, we're not using perfectly straight lines on anything. Then it's going to come back and get a little bit wider. And it's going to be very close to this petal here. So now we're making things look like, we're making these petals look like they're going back in space by making them smaller and thinner than the petals here. I'm trying to teach you how to see. We're going to explain foreshortening, not foreshortening, but we will do perspective a little later, which is, there's principles to what I'm doing here called perspective. But I want you, if you can see it, then the principles will just make you even better. Now this one, this petal is thinner now because we can't see the top of the petal, just the edge. It comes out and bends down like that. And those are the petals of the flower. And just for fun, so the butterfly is going to be on the flower. But the flower has some little jagged things coming up like this. I forgot what they're called for some reason. Just indicate. Now the body of the butterfly, we're going to draw a side view. So the body of the butterfly, first we're going to draw a fat oval shape for the body. We can't see the entire body. And on the top of this flower here, the body comes up like this. Don't make it too large, make it small. Don't make it huge. See that oval? Put it at that angle there because we're going to draw the legs and everything, and we need to be able to see it. That's the basic body of this butterfly. This butterfly is going to be a monarch. We're going to try to simplify it. I think that if we can just see shapes, it simplifies everything. So remember, whenever you're drawing, try to find the largest shapes first. Simplify those shapes. Every shape is either going to be a circle, triangle, or square. And in 3 dimensions, the circle turns into a cube, the triangle turns into a cube-like shape, and the square turns into a block-like shape, a block, like a block of ice, like a cube of ice, a cube, a sphere. The circle turns into a sphere, or a ball, and the square turns into a cube, and the triangle turns into a cylinder. I don't know where my mouth was, to a cylinder. Okay, so we try to find the larger shapes and the smaller shapes, and then we put in details last. Next, we want to attach the head to the body, but the butterfly is sort of looking toward us a little bit. So we're going to put a circle that overlaps the corner of this oval shape. And that's going to be the head. And antennas are going to come forward, a skinny line. Antennas going to come, one's going to be there, and let's do something fun. Let the other antenna kind of overlap that one. See how I looped it over that line? It sort of opens up the space between the points of the antenna. Just a little trick to make it look a little bit more real, a little bit more realistic. Now the part of the butterfly that's pollinating this flower comes out like this. A line that comes out and bends down, comes over and bends down. Let's draw a leg. The leg of the butterfly, it turns up like this. It's like a little triangle, and then it bends down. See that leg there? Let's do another leg in the back. It's going to come up like this and bend down like that. So what I did was I drew this circle for the head. I started a line for the antenna that comes out like that, and the second one starts from the other side of the head and loops over that line. We're trying to make this butterfly look a little bit more realistic. Now for the wings, a good way to do the wings, you might have to turn your paper. I'm not going to turn my paper because turning your paper could also make you mess up. I want you to lightly, we're going to sketch starting at the top part of, just behind the head, there's a little space on the body where the wings are attached. There's going to be a curved line. See how lightly I'm drawing? I'm going to make this line darker in just a minute. I want it to come out like this, and then the bottom part of the butterfly's body, I want you to draw a line out like that. So a line is coming up like this, like we're making a huge triangle, looks like. But do not draw this side of the triangle. Let this line stop. I probably took my line out too far. Let it stop almost even. Just let it go a little bit beyond this flower. So about round in here. Let it stop there. Well, I don't know. I might want it longer. We'll see. We'll see. Sometimes you just have to see how things look. You know, sometimes you just have to see how it looks. So the way we plan things are not always the way we're going to do it. So this wing comes out like this. Now, the more this top of this wing, he's going to have two wings. Let's bend this a little more. It makes it look more elegant. That's the word I was searching for on Tuesday. Couldn't remember it. We want our lines to be elegant. We want them to flow. Now this is going to be the back wing. We're going to let it come around, put a circle here, half circle, and come down a little bit and stop. Now we can still make changes. We make the wings longer or shorter. Nothing is ever etched in stone. Now the second wing is going to come around like this. It's going to start right next to this back wing here. Same point. I want it to come around. I want it to curve and then curve out into a huge circle like that. So when you're drawing your butterfly or anything, it has to feel right to your eyes. The flow has to feel natural somehow. Now, I could make this wider. I think I'm going to make mine wider. I'm going to make it wider this way. We sketch so that we can make changes. We are not machines, so, and we're not cameras, so, and we're not trying to be. A camera cannot put feeling and emotions into a picture. Now, and a very artistic photographer can use a camera, and the way he develops his film and the way he organizes the shape or the composition, he may be able to put emotions and feeling into it, but it's very difficult even for a photographer to do. But a master photographer can do that. But the camera cannot do that on its own. So we're not trying to be a machine, we're trying to be human beings. I'm going to curve this. I just feel like I want this wing to be more curvy. Now, on the ends of the butterfly wings, you remember the little jagged edges that we did? If you was here Thursday, and I hope you never miss classes, because everything we do is building to something else. We're actually building to what we're going to be doing, in December. So you see these little edges here, the little points on the wing. That's what we want to draw here. So just draw some little points. Just make some little jags, little jagged edges. So what I did, see, I'm gonna sketch. I'll sketch on this one. For this wing here, so I had a circle coming around like this, right? So, kind of like if you were drawing water. That's what I did. Did a bunch of those. Now I need a double line here. I need a line that traces. I'm going to start with this one. There should be some space here because this is going to be black. Remember, we're doing a monarch butterfly. And I'm going to trace that around to here. Then I'm going to do something really strange. First do this part. So everything in here except for the white dots are going to be black. We do not have white paint. So we're going to have to be very creative in order to get some white dots in this, okay? So here, this line is very close to the top of the wing. We want to come down a little bit. Have you gotten that? And we're going to draw a line that bends like a triangle over here, like that, like this. We'll just stop it there like that. Next, I'm going to start here, the point where this second line meets this front wing here. At this point, I'm going to draw a line that comes up, curves around, and goes down like that, straight down. Then I'm going to start here, curve it around, and draw a line straight down that mirrors this line here. You'll see why we did that in a minute. I don't like the angle of this line, so I'm going to change it. I didn't have to change that, but I wanted to. Next, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start a line here, We're going to follow this curve, leaving some space between the end of the wing, and let it go all the way around and all the way down and to connect with the top part of this wing. So these are part of the markings. The rest of the markings we're going to do later because it's kind of complex, but I want to start painting. And we're going to paint the background first. Now, if you have some hairspray, this would be a good time to spray the picture. But I'm going to assume you don't have hairspray. If you have hairspray, you wouldn't be too close to the picture, but you would spray it. Maybe you're 14 inches away, spray it lightly, and then wait for the spray to dry before you paint. But I suggest not spraying right now. If we was in class, I would spray the picture for you. Let's start with yellow. Now, I always suggest, now I repeat myself so that it can get into your psyche. Start with large shapes first, and then draw your smaller shapes second, and then do details last. When painting, start with your lightest colors first and try to do your darkest color last, because what that will do is it will keep your colors clean. Let's get a flat brush. Not too wide, but we do want to cover some area, and we're going to start with yellow. And everywhere on this picture where I see some yellow or a hint of yellow, I'm going to draw. I'm going to erase this line here because I'm going to want some white paper. I erased the line that I don't need, and I put back in the line that I want. So everywhere on this picture where we're going to have some yellow, I'm going to paint the yellow. In painting, you can think of it in abstract. It's easier to paint realism when your mind is thinking abstract, because everything's abstract anyway. Nothing is realism. I don't know why we call it realism. So put water on your brush. I want your paint to be relatively thick here, I think. And I may have too much water on my brush. You can always use your paper towel to pat your brush a little bit drier. Here's my spray can, but I'm not going to use my spray. I think most of the time we're not going to use spray unless we're doing nothing but pencil. So we're going to show a little yellow in this part of the wing. And the front wing, we're going to show a lot of yellow. So what we do is I'm painting the background first. I always paint the background, then the foreground. Until you get really comfortable with painting, you paint it any way you want to. But if you follow this process, this is just one way of doing it. To me, it's the easiest way, and it's the classical way of doing it. In the upper right-hand corner, let's paint a yellow circle. Paint another yellow circle. See how big it is? This is in the background. I have some black here on my table. I'm going to need to clean that off because it's getting mixed up in my paint. So, left over from the last pictures. So I'm going to clean my table a little bit right now. because I don't want this black mixed up in the paint. So a good lesson is to take the time to do whatever you need to do to make your picture what you want it to be. Meanwhile, you guys can catch up while I'm cleaning this. Okay. So I have these two yellow circles. I'm going to paint another yellow. What I'm doing is I'm just putting some yellow in the background so the background won't be flat. We're going to use black, and I think we'll use black last, okay? Black will be last. Now let's get some orange. Remember, we use the drawing that's already here. I'm going to use some blue on this too, I may. So this back wing, these two areas here will be orange. I'm going to put a little orange. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to thin my orange with water. And I'm going to go over this yellow so that this yellow will be yellow-orange. See that? And that pushes this wing back behind that one. I'm going to paint a little orange here and a little orange there. Now I'm going to just paint some orange on my flower. And later we're going to put some red on the flower. Now we have pink. This flower will have some I guess some reddish purple petals. So I'm going to get some purple. I want the paint to be pretty thin. Really, I would like to paint my petals magenta, but you don't have magenta. This is magenta here. See, I have magenta in this tray. This color here is magenta. So I'm going to paint my petals magenta, and then I'm going to paint the petals purple. I'm going to show you what the magenta looked like. So if I painted the petals magenta, it's going to look like that. If I paint it purple, it's going to look like this. Well, so it's a matter of which one I like. If I paint the petals red, then it would look like this. You may want to paint your petals, and if I painted my petals yellow, so what I'm going to do is leave it up to you what colors you want your petals. It would look like this. Okay? So I'm going to bring these all together, and I'm just going to use purple because that's what you have in your tray. I'm just making some stripes. See how I'm painting stripes? And then I'm going to thin my paints. What I'm doing, I'm shaking my brush off in the water. And so now I just have water on my brush. I'm just going to bring the color out a little bit more on the petals. I should have done the background first. I was so focused on the petals. So yellow would have looked pretty good. Magenta would have looked good too. But I'm using purple because that's what you have. Red would look good. So I'll leave it up to you. Let's go ahead and do the background. The background is going to be green. So you can, in some areas the green can be dark, some areas the green can be light. Use your flat brush so that you can paint in between these petals, okay? And we're just going to fill in the background with green. So use enough water. You can also paint the green over the yellow. We just want the background to fade out. Now slow down when you paint around the petals. See how I'm doing that? This green don't have to be flat. I prefer it to not be flat. What I mean flat is that, just thick color. I prefer it to have some parts are darker than other parts. It makes it more interesting. You could put more yellow in there. Let's do it just so that you know. It helps keep it from going flat. You put some yellow in other places in your background. You can put light blue. When we paint in acrylics, we'll use more colors. And then you just put the green. It's like painting an abstract picture. So you don't have to use green. Let me say that. You can use pink, red. You can mix your color. Paint your background however you want to. Paint your petals however you want to. Don't forget the stem, though, on the rose. I'm going to paint that in shortly. I'll probably paint it black, maybe. So I'm just filling in the background. I want my green to blend into the yellow. I still see my stem here, so don't forget about it. I hope I don't forget about it. See how I can use the edge of the brush to get the little small in between the petals here? I want you to do that. The edge of the brush. Paint around your butterfly wing. It don't even matter if some of the green get into your butterfly, it doesn't matter that much. Since we're going to be using black, black covers so much. See, where some of my green is going to be dark, some is light. Just make it look artistic. Sometimes the green blends into the yellow. Sometimes you can see the white underneath the green. We're just trying to get a background that looks natural, like maybe there's grass in the background. Maybe it's a sunny day. We're setting the picture up. So we're doing the broad areas first, but we know the star of the show is the butterfly. Now, we're going to use red and brown paint. Excuse me. Get your round brush. I'm going to be doing details. Get your small round brush. I don't think you have a large one. And first, let's put some red on the flower. Look where I'm going to put the red. I'm just going to indicate, now my red, I put it on too dark. I don't want it that dark. I want it more like this. But when there's a variation of color, it makes it look better. So put your red around the top of the flower. You can also put some red, sort of repaint the lines that you made with the purple. I'm painting over the purple, and the red blends into the purple and makes it look sort of magenta. See when I draw the lines over the purple? It sort of changes the color a little bit. And pay close attention to what you're doing. This is not automatic. So you're actually learning how to draw and paint. You're learning how to see. So you have to take your time and look. I'm going to leave that part light purple there on that one. And this one can be dark. Just going to blend things a little bit here. This is just water. I'm just blending to just show the property of the watercolor a little bit. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're ready for what I call the coup de grace. First, let's paint the butterfly's antennas. You have to be very careful. We're going to use the tip of the brush. We're not going to press the brush down. If I press the brush down, watch what happens. We don't want it to bend like that. It'll make the line too wide. We're using black. Well, before we do that, I want you to get some brown. Okay, before we do that, let's do the brown. For the brown, I want you to paint some little spikes on the flower, like that, just some little dashes, or I call them hatch marks, little dots on the flower. Show where the butterfly might be pollinating the flower. And the bottom part of the flowers I want you to bring them together darker. We're going to use black too. But see that? See how I'm doing that? It just gives this a little bit more detail. I'm even gonna trace a little brown here to show some shadows. So I'm going to use brown for the part of my stem that I can still see. I'm going to paint that brown too. I overlap the stem with this petal, but the part that I can see, I paint it. Okay. Now we're going to use black. Your brush needs to be pretty dry, but put some water in the black, but we're almost doing a dry brush. Those of you who've been following every class, you know what I mean by dry brush. We don't want the paint too wet here. Matter of fact, I want you to test it. You can get a scrap sheet of paper and make a line. That's what I want the line to be like. I don't want the line to have a lot of water in it. So with the tip of my brush, I'm using the tip the tip of this brush, I'm going to put small pressure, not hardly any, barely touch the paper, and trace that line. Now, I trace the antenna line. I'm just retracing what we've already drawn. Now the part of the butterfly that sticks into the flower, trace that. The leg is flat here and pointy there. And that's a leg that come up and do that. Isn't that neat? Now, since this is a monarch butterfly, the body is going to have some white spots on it. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to trace the circle for the eye. Then I'm just going to draw some circles. Draw some circles with the tip of the brush. And all of a sudden you have some white spots. Just using the tip of the brush. Do not press down with the brush. I'm saying the same thing over and over again until you remember. So I've traced the body. Now I'm just going to draw some circles. Just draw a bunch of circles. The circles, we're trying to get white spots. So the easy way to do it is just to draw some circles. Just a monarch butterfly. See? And any place you don't want a white spot, just paint it out. I'm going to paint out some of these circles. So that's enough. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to trace the wings, but remember these jagged edges? These loops, kind of like waves of water. Put those in there, and then trace the wing all the way down like that. Sometimes you have to hold your hand steady. You can use one hand to prop the other. See, you can use this hand. I can brace with that hand. Trace everything that all these lines, let's just trace them. This don't have to be perfect because we're drawing an insect. We're drawing nature, and nature doesn't look perfect. There's variation. Now tracing the outside of this one. See? I want the shape of those wings, then I'm going to trace this line. Trace the bottom of the wing. Take your time. This is the part you really have to take your time with. This is the part that's going to make this thing really sing. I always like for my pictures to sing somehow. Now we're going to do the same thing. Let's do this first. You see up here where the yellow-orange is? Let's put a couple of lines there. The lines are going to bend. One line is going to come down like that. One line is going to come down like that. I want you to follow me with this one. I want you to draw a line that bends down like this on the front wing. Start here. It's kind of like the continuation of this line here almost. But it's going to bend around like this. Did you do that? Then it's going to come back up from this point like that to divide that. Good. Get that part. If you have this part here that I just did, now we're going to use that one to make it easy for you to do the rest. I'm going to draw a line that's going to connect to this like this. It's going to come straight down like that. I need some space. I'm going to have a line that comes down like this. Well, let's do it like this. It's going to come down. I need some space here, and this line is going to come down and connect like that. Now I'm going to have another line come down and connect like this. You see that? It comes down in loops. Now this line, do you have that one? Do you have these lines? I know it's getting complex now, so you have to keep up with me. This line is going to start here, but it's going to go all the way down to the body, but it's going to curve a little bit. Remember, we're not trying to make straight lines. See that? We're using our black paint now. Almost dry brush, so you can make a strong line. Now we're going to have a line that comes down, comes from here and connects there. Then we're going to have a line that comes from here, curves, bends, and connects there. And then we're going to have a line that comes all the way down to there. So let's go back up here to this first wing. This time we're going to make some squares. Just paint in some squares. Some rectangles, I'm sorry, squares and rectangles. Paint a few in, make them pretty large. Some small, different sizes. Oops. And then paint some black in some places. See that? See what I'm doing? Just paint some black in. And leave the white rectangles. You can have as many or as few as you want to. You have to take your time. We just want some white in the wing. Now we're just going to do circles again. Just do some large circles, small circles, and you're going to fill in the black. Just do circles. You can do circles or rectangles, or both. It doesn't matter. We just need some white markings. So when you draw the circles or the rectangles, then you fill in the space between them, and you'll have white markings. It's called, we're just leaving paper. We're leaving the white paper, since we don't have white paint. Do the same for this part of the wing. Just make some circles, a bunch of circles, small or large, different sizes. You can use rectangles as well. Take your time. Watch what the paint is doing. If you have too much water in your brush, dry your brush off. Use a dry brush. Take some of the paint off your brush. Take some of the water out of your brush. We're just trying to leave some white circles. Paint with the tip of your brush. There's no doubt about it. The more art, the more you draw, the better you get. The more you paint, the better artist you become. You cannot get there as far as being a great artist or being a good artist without working. And the better you get, the more things you can try. See how I'm taking my time? I'm just trying to leave white. Then you have to sit back and look at it and say, well, what else do I need to do to it? Okay, so this black is very strong, so I'm going to put some black in the flower too. I'm going to take some of my white out of this wing. I have too much. Here's something else I'm going to do. You don't have to do this, but just to make the wing a little bit more realistic, see this edge here? I'm going to curve these around more like that. See, like that? It makes it look a little bit more realistic. Okay. I'm going to do the top as well. Curve it around a little bit. When things are too uniform, they don't look right. They don't look like nature. Okay. I'm going to smooth this part of the wing out. Now I'm going to use black and put some details in the flower. This part of the flower, there's not a lot of light getting to it, so I'm going to put some little spikes here. Little hatch marks. There's small hatch marks there. There's really an order to it. We're not going to try to paint that order today, because this is the first time you've done this. And man, I'm going to put a few little dark marks on the edge of this flower, like that, see? I'm going to put some black on the stem. Man, you've done a good job today. So I have too much black paint on my brush, so I can see that. So I just wiped all the black paint off, and I'm just going to spread this a little bit. If you want to, you can even use the black to trace some of your stem, especially parts of the stem that sort of goes into the plant like that. You can just put some little shadow marks there like that, like this, see? Sometimes just painting one side like that. I'm gonna paint this side. Oh, it's time to go. I really enjoyed this. I'm gonna paint just the bottom edge here. You can try this, just painting one side black, paint a few lines just like that. It makes it look a little bit more 3D. Then remember to sign your picture and put your age. I'm not putting my age. I'll put my age this time. Don't tell nobody, but I'm 67 years old, and I've been painting since I was 5, so I've been painting for 62 years. So it takes time, okay? It won't take you that long as it did me, but it's been a pleasure once again to be with you today. I've enjoyed painting this butterfly. I hope you have. Remember, you can share this. Please share this video with people. We're trying to get art to as many kids as possible. kids of all ages from 4 to 94. This has been Charlie Newton from Splash Youth Arts Workshop, free art classes for, you don't have to have money to take my art classes, so it's for low income, at-risk youth, but it's for everybody because art, remember, art is for everyone. Until next time, bye-bye.